Hi, my name is Adrian O'Hanlon and welcome to my page, Exam Heroes. Here I've added a number of videos on politics and society and on business for the Leaving Certificate. Subscribe here to ensure that you don't miss out on any added content and that you keep up to date with all of the resources. Best of luck in your studies and good luck in your exams. Leaving Certificate, Business, Ordering Level, and the topic is International Trade. International trade is trading with other countries. Exporting is selling goods and services to other countries. Importing is buying goods and services from other countries. Basically, exporting is goods or services that leave the country, and importing is goods or services coming into the country. In the next clip, you're going to look at, in the context of the current coronavirus outbreak, there has been a spike in demand for food. And we'll see in the next clip that exotic fruits such as mango, pineapples and bananas are coming the whole way across from Costa Rica via ship in large containers into a port in Ringaskiddy in County Cork.
Feeding the country one ship at a time. The AS Petronia left Costa Rica in Central America a fortnight ago and tied up in Ringaskiddy in the port of Cork in the early hours of this morning. On board, around 100 shipping containers for Ireland carrying mangoes, melons and pineapples, and 4 million bananas, a mere week's supply to keep this country going. The operation to transfer the containers from the ship takes just a matter of hours. At 210 metres in length, the AS Petronia is the biggest cargo ship to dock in this country. It's one of hundreds that make up a supply chain bringing food and other goods to Ireland from all over the world before shipping Irish food exports in the other direction. Ireland imported more than €8 billion worth of food and drink last year, and the country's ports have seen a spike in that trade to meet demand driven by the coronavirus outbreak.
So really the key message to people is not to worry about the supply chain. The supply chain is moving. Ports are open, ports are working very, very hard in order to maintain the supply of goods and essential products to the people of Ireland.
The coronavirus outbreak has brought many threats to this country, but threats to food and foodstuffs and threats to the supply chain aren't among them.
So how is international trade measured? The first thing is the balance of trade. This is your visible exports minus your visible imports. So if you export more than you import, you will have a surplus. But if you import more than you export, you will have a deficit in your balance of trade. Countries always look to have a surplus in the balance of trade. Likewise in the balance of payments, but this is calculated slightly differently. This includes your invisible trade. So it's your total exports minus total imports, including the visible trade. And the visible trade is trade in services. So for example, if you had 20 tourists coming in to Shannon Airport to come into Limerick and they go to King John's Castle to spend 3 days in Limerick, the money they spend will be seen as an export, but you can't see it, therefore it's seen as being invisible. So what are the reasons goods and services are imported into Ireland? The first is the climate. We don't have the climate to grow some foods, coffee, wine and some fruits. In the last example you saw us importing some fruits such as mango, bananas, and pineapples from Costa Rica. Production. Some goods we can't produce, i.e. cars. Natural resources. For example, we do not have oil, so we have to import it from other countries. And the last thing is goods. Difference of taste, or some goods that are less expensive. Consumers may decide to import clothes from the US, such as Nike trainers, or they may decide to source cheaper electronic goods from other countries such as China. In the next clip, in a scene from Only Fools and Horses, Del Boy will look to import alcohol from France because it's cheaper. But it's also very important when importing goods like that to A, check the time difference, and B, check your logistics.
Oh, wait a minute. Did any of us move our watches forward 1 hour to French time?
No.
No.
No! Oh my God, we've only got half an hour before the ferry, you dipstick, Rodney! Oh, hey! Yeah!
The next thing we look at is a multinational company. A multinational company, an MNC, has a base or headquarters in one country and has several branches in other countries. Some examples in Limerick are Analog Devices, Johnson & Johnson, which is Vistacon, we've Dell, Regeneron, Uber, Cook, amongst others. So why do so many multinational companies come to Ireland? One reason is the access to the European Union markets. Being a member, and we did this in the previous topic in the European Union, but being a member of the European Union trading bloc, we don't pay tariffs. A tariff, as you may remember, is a tax when you export goods into another country. We're also English-speaking members of the European Union, and because the United Kingdom are in the process of leaving, we will be the only English-speaking member of the European Union. We have a very highly educated and skilled workforce. And the last, and possibly the most important, is our low corporation tax. Ireland's low corporation tax is 12.5%, and this is one of the many reasons why multinationals come to Ireland.
Ireland's corporation tax rate is 12.5%. That decision was made over 20 years ago. So when a company declares a profit, it must pay tax of 12.5% on that amount.
What are the benefits of multinational companies in Ireland? The first is they generate tax for the government. Corporation tax yields a very high amount of tax every year for the government. But as well as that, then, the employees who are employed by these multinational companies will pay tax such as income tax, PRSI and USC. It creates spin-off business. If you have a new company just setting up in Limerick, they will have to source suppliers. A lot of times these will be local suppliers. They might need a catering staff to come in, and they also may need cleaning companies to come in and clean their buildings. Again, generally speaking, these would be local companies. It improves the balance of trade and payments, because generally multinational companies will export to other countries. This will improve our balance of trade and payments. It creates enterprise culture. Multinationals like this could inspire other people to set up their own companies. And the last thing employs a large amount of our workforce. If you look here, for example, the impact of FDI, which is foreign direct investment in Ireland, it has a total direct employment of 210,443 employees. Going forward, there are challenges for Irish business. Firstly, we have a very high cost base. Because we're in an island, our transport costs will be higher than that of mainland Europe, for example. And our wage costs are quite high as well. Language issues. Irish businesses must be careful that brochures, for example, are properly translated in other countries. There are payment difficulties as well. It is harder to get paid abroad than it would be at home. The cultural, religious differences. Irish businesses must ensure that the product they are selling, and this is very important, the advertising is not offensive to other cultures. And the political risk as well. The turmoil in some countries, for example the Middle East, makes it more difficult to do business there. Here are some questions from the 2019 paper. First question says, list 3 examples of goods or services that are imported into Ireland. Again, look at the slides. There are examples there. Outline 3 reasons why goods or services are imported to Ireland. Again, we've looked at this. And explain the term exports and provide 1 example. Again, this has been covered. There was an 18 questions. From the information provided, you have to calculate the balance of payments. Look up again in the slides. It's quite a straightforward formula for this. Take away your imports from your exports. The second part of the question says, state whether it is a surplus or a deficit. show your workings, explain, use an example in each case, the difference between visible exports and visible imports. Again, that information is in your slides. From the information provided in source 2, identify the country that has the largest percentage share of global exports. Okay, so you just look at the information there. Identify what percentage share of global exports the EU accounts for. Outline 2 benefits for Irish business of exporting within the European Union. And the last one is outline 2 challenges for Irish business exporting to China.